After not really being around for a few decades, the rights to all things Mini were bought by BMW, who then reintroduced the brand to the world with one model. Since then, they've added 3- and 4-door models, special editions and performance versions, but none of them are as special or as expensive as that one. From the outside, it looks like a regular Mini. Car spotters among you will know that it's a Cooper S, even though it has not a single badge to tell you that, just the twin exhaust tailpipes. The wheels are unique too, even though they may not be anything particularly special. Ironically, the biggest clue in terms of size is the most subtle, the paint job. That car is not simply black. It's not a color created by Mini for one of their special edition cars. It's called Diamond Metallic Black, and you'd have to be a supreme car nerd to know why it's so special. There are in fact only 2 manufacturers in the whole world that use that specific shade, and both of them, conveniently, are owned by BMW. One of them, obviously, is Mini. The other was Rolls-Royce, who were tasked with creating this 530,000 Rand limited edition model called Inspired by Goodwood. They weren't, however, tasked with building it, so while it carries hallmarks of traditional coachmanship, this Mini isn't handmade. It's punched out of presses and assembled for the most part by robots, just like every other Mini. To most South Africans, the name Goodwood probably means one of 2 things. It's either a suburb about 15 km outside of Cape Town, or it's the Festival of Speed held in the UK. But Goodwood is also the home to Rolls-Royce, and now Mini has more in common with that uber luxury brand than just a name. The most obvious influence is on the inside, where the colours and the finishes go beyond premium. They're straight out of the Roller Materials book, and they're the primary reason why this Mini is so unbelievably expensive. My previous impression of Mini interiors is that they're quite cheesy in their execution. Unsurprisingly, the cheese has almost completely melted in here. I say almost because every time you unlock the car, you get this little light show. This interior is literally covered top to bottom with the same kinds of materials you'd find in a Phantom or a Ghost. Napa leather dashboard, cashmere roof lining, burr walnut inlays, and door linings covered in stuff called tipped leather corn silk. The floor mats are especially good because in this car you get to wipe the soles of your shoes with the finest lamb's wool. Although the better option is to take your shoes off before you get in the car. Your toes will never have been happier while driving, or doing anything else for that matter. There is, of course, still a lot of Mini in here. It's not like the layout has suddenly changed and there's enough space in the back for you to be chauffeured around comfortably all day. The oversized, centrally mounted speedo is still there, albeit with classier numbers, and the controls remain chunky, now finished in piano black. Spec-wise, there's a premium hardened carbon sound system and the full Mini integration system, including sat-nav, Bluetooth and USB. Heated seats and keyless operation are also part of the package. It is, of course, outrageously over the top for this kind of car, but while one side of me can't fathom why BMW would team up 2 of its brands to build a car that no core customer would likely be able to afford, the other side of me loves the fact that they did, probably for no other reason than they could. Once you get past the paint job and the fancy interior, you find that the mechanicals are where Rolls-Royce ends and Mini begins. This is not some wafty cruiser that glides silently between traffic lights. Despite all its pretensions, this is still a Mini Cooper S, and this time around, I can't decide if that's a good thing or not. The upside is that the 135 kilowatt 1600 turbo is as spectacular as ever and gives this plushmobile a 0 to 100 time of 7.2 seconds and a top speed of 223. The twin-scroll turbo still has that raspy little engine note, and it always feels like it wants to fight everything it comes across. The thing is, fighting is the last thing you feel like doing when your feet are being massaged by the fur of a baby sheep. I know they couldn't re-engineer this whole car, but somehow all this opulence just doesn't suit the character of a Mini Cooper. Napa leather is the last thing on your mind when you've got armfuls of torque steer, and while you're enjoying the bumps and ruts through the suspension, do you really care what the door inserts are covered with? I doubt it. The third point of view is that maybe that was the point of the exercise, to build a car that matches the core characteristics of both famous British names. Luxury mixed with a bit of hooliganism. It's a combination that doesn't really work for me, and given its R500,000 asking price, I think there will be others who don't quite get it either. The question of whether the Mini inspired by Goodwood is worth the money depends on how you look at it. Kilogram for kilogram, it is cheaper than a Rolls-Royce, easier to park too, and as a long-term investment, it could pay dividends. It's not uncommon for Minis from the 60s and 70s to now fetch between 10 and 15 times their original price. But there are certainly people in this country who are happy to part with their money. Of the 1,000 units being made, 10 are coming to South Africa, and 6 have already been sold. Any thoughts that this Mini has been softened by the Rolls-Royce influence quickly disappear as soon as you get going. The 1600 Turbo still imparts a touch of insanity. It is almost inconceivably luxurious for a car in its class, but then again you could say it's in a class of its own. The luxury and limited edition status means the price tag is astronomical.